2, 3, 4.
What's going on, everybody? It's Dot Bets. We're checking back in. We have episode 3 of On the Dot podcast coming to you on July 18th, 2022. Reminder, this is your sports betting podcast that will give you insights and strategies on how to get proven results in the sports gambling industry. We'll discuss recent news and how to break down the best gambling strategies to help make you guys more money. And as always, welcome back my co-host at Sidekick Picks. How are we feeling tonight, Side?
Doing good. How's it going?
Whew. Ready to get after it. Another episode. We're going to discuss bankroll management. Key in sports gambling. And then we are going to dive right into the AFC North, which might be a little more tricky than we think. We got a lot of question marks. So we're going to dive right in. But before we do, we're going to put you guys on to props.cash. Put real-time data behind your picks. Use relevant analytics to help gain confidence in your picks. And as always, use code on the dot for 25% off your initial monthly purchase. And we'll sweeten the deal. We've actually tweeted this out as well. We're going to add a month free of VIP for whoever uses that promo code. Just DM us on Twitter or hit us up on the Anchor voice message that I just set up. So hit us up on that. Side, let's start. Let's get after some bankroll management, keys, do's and don'ts. How do you manage your bankroll?
Yeah, so I guess the best way to approach this is to start with discussing what a unit is, and because you see that term thrown around all the time with betting, and a unit is basically whatever your bet is, whatever your base bet is. So whatever you start with, usually a good rule of thumb is anywhere from 1% to 3% is a unit. Personally, I like to cash out when I hit a certain number, just because I don't want like money sitting in there and then I get a little crazy and throw out more than I want. I want to bank that money and keep it. So I usually withdraw when I hit a certain number and then kind of start back up again. So with baseball season, I started with $200 in DraftKings, $200 in FanDuel, and my base unit was $25. So right around that 2% mark, and now I'm up over $2,000 just on baseball season alone.
Heyo. So great point that you made right there is that you established your bankroll before you went into it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, number one key. You have to understand how much money you're willing to basically lose. That's how I always go about it. It says over a long period of time or over this amount of time or whatever it is, what type of money are you okay with losing? That's how I establish my bankroll.
Yeah, and I know my numbers like don't seem crazy because some people are going to throw more money at it, but that's
right.
what I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And in different sports, I might throw more in the account. Like when we get to college basketball season, that's my bread and butter. So I'm going to be more aggressive with that because I know I can cap it, and I know I can cap it extremely well.
No, and that totally makes sense. One thing that I always want to establish when someone asks me, "Hey, how do I get going with a bankroll?" I always say, do not bet more, or do not use money that you haven't paid your bills with. So some people come to me and they're like, "Hey, man, I need a lock. I need to pay rent, or hey, I need to pay my electric bill, or I need to do. It's like, no, absolutely not. You should never be gambling if you need to do that stuff. This is like fun money. There's people that do this for a living, but that's very few and far in between. So that'll be my second point. Just do not do it with money you do not have, or you're trying to double up so you can pay 2 months of mortgage. It's just a recipe for failure there.
Yeah, definitely. And the term lock too is so crazy, because anything can happen, especially with baseball. And that's why like I don't throw crazy amounts of money at it right now, just because I mean anything can happen, and odds on baseball are a little strange. So let me ask you this: when you're rolling, when you're on fire, do you bet a little bit more? I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, because I'm winning more, so my unit is 2%, so it's going to increase more as I win. Yeah. Now, when I lose, still a rule of thumb, and maybe I back off and I won't throw as much at it.
Mm-hmm. So that's where we differ just a little bit, because when I get going and I'm on a hot streak, my saying is you're only as good as your next bet. So I never try to get too high. I never try to get too low. So you're going to see, if you follow me, I'm usually a 1 unit guy, 1.25. There's occasional 2 units, occasional 3 units, like rare 3 units. My thing is I just know I can, percentage wise, I can be a little bit better, but I can't, I guess, predict as well as some guys maybe just have a gut feeling, or they have a model or whatnot. Maybe I just don't feel comfortable laying that much amount of money on a consistent basis. That's how I see it. And then when I'm even on a cold streak, I won't dial it back necessarily. I'll keep what I always say, stay the course or stay the process. So that's where we differ just slightly in that bankroll, which is fine. You can do it both ways. You just have to make sure you stay consistent with how you do it.
Right. And I'm not like, for example, when I'm giving out picks and stuff like that, like I'm not telling people to increase their unit size or anything like that. Like mine just fluctuates.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, and that's totally respectable for sure. Last thing, always be disciplined. This is a long-term game. If you try to get rich quick, you're going to burn. You're definitely going to burn. Funny, crazy thing is, I'm scrolling through the timeline today. You got a lot of people predicting this home run derby. A lot of people. And I mean, people, I like blew my mind how many cappers were just like, they were so confident. And it was just like, how can you be so confident? Right. It's so like, just
I threw
chance
stuff out there, but it's not like I have a couple plays that I feel pretty good about, but again, this is for enjoyment. Like tonight is
exactly
about like, hey, I want to watch this. I'm gonna throw something at it and see what happens.
Yeah, I saw people like selling picks. They have a lock to this. They have, and I'm like, goodness, like there's just no way. There is no way. So that's disciplined betting on a night like this. You stay with what you're doing. You maybe go down to a half a unit you're betting on some home run derby, or 0.25. If you guys see my golf, all my outrights are 0.2 units. And that's just how I establish that. Then I go through my top 20s, top 40s, and it's half unit here, a full unit there, which you feel a little bit more comfortable with. So just stay your process, establish your process, and then stick with it. So with that, that's the Bankroll 101. If anybody else has any questions or concerns, throw them in the chat on YouTube or Twitch. We'll always respond to them on the YouTube channel. And if you do want to leave a voice message or join the free Discord, that's in the description on YouTube or in the Spotify or iTunes. So just hop on in. That link is good forever. And you have any questions, hop right in there. So let's get to the AFC North. All right, so we have tons and tons of question marks here. Basically, it's around this Browns team because we do not have an idea what Deshaun Watson's status is going to be. We've seen 4 games and we've seen 16 game suspensions for all the allegations against him. Yet today, another report came out, said if he does get suspended a full year, he's going to sue the NFL. How this all plays out, I'm not sure anybody knows, or when. I'm hoping that it comes before the season. I think everybody's trying to hoping for. If not, we have Jacoby Brissett taking over. So with that question mark, who do you think wins this division?
I mean, it's the defending AFC champs, right? It's got to be the Bengals, hands down. The Steelers have a drop-off with the quarterback change, losing Juju Smith. You got Ravens losing a lot of their receiving core, a questionable guy at running back, and then you got all this drama in Cleveland. So,
right,
I think Cincinnati is by far the favorite, and I think they definitely finish out on top.
Which is funny you say, because they are not the favorite in the division currently. They're plus 190. The Ravens are plus 160. And then you have the Browns at like plus 270. And then the Steelers at plus 100. I lean the Ravens here. I just think you have a more healthy team this year. Is Marquise Brown that much of a factor in what they want to do? I don't believe so. The thing that struck me the most about last year is not many teams can win like that when they have all 4 of their big time running backs go down, multiple games without Lamar Jackson. So that tells me 2 things: the leadership there and the culture are established. Like, it does not matter. It is rock solid in Baltimore. I just don't think now you bring all those healthy bodies back. You lose Marquise Brown. Okay, that's replaceable in my opinion. Just the style that they play. They have a phenomenal defense. A lot of these defenses in this division are very, very elite. But I think the Ravens, with the difference with the culture, the difference with the leadership here, and a little bit more healthy, I'm leaning the Ravens to win this division.
See, and that's the thing you said too, is who's going to replace him. And I'm looking at their depth chart, and I don't see a guy.
Rashad Bateman. Bateman. He is the next guy. But supposed to be.
Right. I mean, are we really going to bank it all on him to come out and be what they need him to be?
What's he projected at currently? Rashad Bateman is currently wide receiver 31. That's their best one. Obviously, everybody knows Mark Andrews is the guy there.
Yeah.
And they move the ball with their run game. Lamar Jackson back. Actually put on some weight. He's like 220 now. And he usually plays around 208. So he's going to be, and he said he worked on his throwing motion. We'll see how far that goes. But give me Lamar Jackson. Give me the Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews and the solid defense here. I really, really like this Ravens team. They're a team that I truly do not like to bet too often because they kind of win ugly. It's really hard games to predict. So that's where I kind of don't have a lovey-dovey relationship with the Ravens here. But just from a actual winning standpoint, I like them here.
Yeah, they are a physical team, and they've always been too. And I mean, I do like that. I still lean Cincy just because I think they're more of a complete team. But if they are going to get any pushback from another team in the division, I would go with the Ravens right there. I mean, I kind of want to see how J.K. Dobbins does too.
Yeah, that report came out today.
Yeah,
where Ian Rappaport said he wasn't going to be ready for week 1, and then he immediately refuted it, which I love that about social media. That's one of my favorite things is the athletes literally can stick it to these stupid reports that come out, or if they think they're stupid or if they're inaccurate. That's what I like. So then you see Dobbins refute it and say, hey, man, no, my rehab's doing well. I'm coming back and I'm playing week 1. Is it player speak? We'll see. I have no idea.
But can he handle the bulk of the load? Now they got Mike Davis in there too, which is kind of nice.
And they still got Gus Edwards. They got Justice Hill. I mean,
Gus has been hurt too.
Yeah, no, he got hurt last year too. Yep. So, I think they will definitely rebound from their injuries. That was so crazy in the preseason last year. It was just week after week. We're just like, oh no, like really? Oh, Dobbins went down. Okay, Gus Edwards is the guy. Oh, Gus Edwards just got hurt. Oh my goodness. And then we go Justice Hill, and it's like, it was a nightmare of a season, and they still did what they did, which I was impressed about. I think that brings them into the season to me as the well-deserved favorites. So we'll go right into the Bengals then, because the Bengals are crazily getting disrespected. Mm-hmm. I think too, but can they repeat what they did last year? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they go as far. I don't know if they go as far as they did. I think you got some pretty good teams that are closing that gap. And I don't even know. I mean, part of how they got there was kind of crazy too. It's a tough road.
Yeah.
The AFC West just reloaded too. Mm-hmm. Indy got better. Miami got better. So will they make the playoffs? Yeah, I think so. But I don't know if they make a deep run like they did. But I like this team. I'm excited for this team. They got a lot of good weapons with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Boyd and Joe Mixon in there.
Yep.
And Joe Burrow's smooth, man. I like him.
I think Burrow is going to be a very, very established quarterback for a long, long period of time. He has what it takes. He knows what it takes. And he just exudes confidence in the rest of the team, which is awesome. And I'm always excited to watch this offense. I was on them last year a ton. I had a Mixon future last year, cash really easily. I think it was like 995 rush yards, and that cash with ease. But I just told people last year, I was like, he just needs to stay healthy. And if he stays healthy, he'll be fine. I haven't truly looked at his stats just yet. So I will make sure I dive into those. But to make the playoffs, they're minus 135, and the Ravens are minus 150. So they do think that these two teams can make the playoffs. I just don't think the Bengals are obviously going to get back to the Super Bowl. Don't see that happening. The one thing that they did do was they addressed the offensive line, which they had to do because Joe Burrow was getting sacked left and right.
Yeah,
which was I think the Titans had 11 sacks against them in that playoff game, and they still lost. So it was craziness that they got as far as they did. Do I think they can repeat on an offensive level? Yes. As a team success to the Super Bowl, maybe even the conference championship, I'm gonna say my doubts there. But I do think they finish second in this division. They possibly win a game in the playoffs, but I don't see them doing any further damage there.
Yeah, I agree with them getting to the playoffs. I just think that they kind of edge out the Ravens a little bit. But I agree with you. That road to get to the Super Bowl again is going to be tough for them, especially since the AFC just got a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And, from a fantasy perspective, you got two elite wide receivers. And then, I would say currently I'm ranking them Chase, Higgins, then Boyd. Higgins can surprise a lot of people this year. It's the times that he's played the same amount of snaps as Chase, he's put up similar numbers. So over a course of a season, I'm excited to see Higgins perform. We all know what Jamar Chase can do, but I think there is some regression with his big plays because you've seen last year he broke off a couple big plays or Joe Burrow hits him deep. maybe those don't happen so much this year, and they have to use Higgins. They have to use Boyd a little bit more.
I think
that's right.
Too, that Boyd didn't have. I mean, it makes sense why he didn't have as successful year last year because of the addition of Chase and Higgins. But a few years ago, he was legit.
He was on my fantasy team like 2 or 3 years ago, and he was their slot guy, and he did absolutely work. And he would end up being my wide receiver too for the majority of the season. So he has potential as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm all for that offense, improved offensive line. Let's see what their defense can do. I think overall as a team success, I'm just gonna tame it down just a little bit. Those Ravens, they're gonna be hungry. They're gonna be ready to go. But yeah, so we differ here. I got the Ravens and you got the Bengals winning the division.
See, I think too, Mixon. I've always kind of had him as a question mark just because the backfield has always been kind of split, and he did pretty well last year. So I was surprised at how well he did. 13 touchdowns on the ground. It's pretty solid. 1,000 yards rushing. So if he can continue to produce,
I was stunned with his receiving game.
Yeah,
I played his receiving numbers a ton in the postseason because teams would get after Joe. And then, okay, here, let's dump it off to Mixon. Let's dip it off to here. He takes it and gets his receptions, gets his yards. I mean, we were playing that a lot last year. Sometimes you just got to react to what you're seeing on the field, offensive line issues, anything like that, and plan accordingly. But we were on Joe a lot. But I don't know if he can produce the same numbers. You would think so with an improved offensive line, but he was very, very efficient last year. I'm going to be skeptical, like I'm skeptical with this Bengals team, that I think he can go up until, but I don't think he's going to exceed what he did last year at all.
Yeah.
All right, on to the wild card of the division, the Cleveland Browns. So we already discussed with Watson being the question mark there. If Watson does play, say he only gets suspended 6 games, let's say that, can the Browns make the playoffs?
They do have an easier path to make the playoffs just because their strength of schedule isn't as good.
Yeah, it's the 8th easiest schedule in the NFL.
But I don't know. Just because there are so many good teams in the AFC, and I mean, both of us have them not finishing top 2. I think that makes it a difficult climb to make the playoffs. And we got to remember too that Deshaun Watson didn't play last year.
Right. Yep.
He may not be the same guy.
No, that's a great point. And the sports books have no idea, obviously, because nobody in the world knows. They don't have any of their stats up. They don't have any of their win totals. All they have is the division being, plus 270 to win it. I don't think they're going to win it. So I think they're just going to try to take some money from people. That's why they posted that.
Yeah.
But the rest, it just depends, obviously. But if Brissett is back there, this team is not going to move the football at all unless it's on the ground. And then,
but they're pretty good on the ground.
They are very good on the ground.
They probably have the best tandem backs in the league.
I mean, I'm almost saying a trio there because Dearness Johnson is an absolute beast. When he played that Thursday night, or was it Monday night? I can't remember who it was. He was the lead back, and he just looked like he could have played on all 32 teams and started on every single one of them. So I was impressed there. So I'm no questions asked about this run game. But if they're down, how the hell are they going to get back into the game? That's the main concern. Baker couldn't do it for him. Now, if they're going to rely on Jacoby Brissett, man, it's a ugly road.
Being an Indy fan, I know all about Jacoby Brissett, and I'm telling you, he is not the answer.
Right. And they brought in Amari Cooper, so that's supposed to be their alpha receiver. And if Jacoby Brissett starts throwing him the ball, I mean, he's probably going to wish he was back in Dallas. So there's nothing here that makes me want to jump out and say, I got to bet this. I got to bet this with this team. There's just a lot of question marks. I'm going to sit here and just tell you guys to wait and see who the heck and what the heck happens. If you want to bet Chubbs over rushing yards, I wouldn't say go. I wouldn't say not to do that. But the one
fantasy question for you.
Oh, okay. There you
go. Amari Cooper. Do you take him?
Oh, I mean, last pick overall, yeah. No, he's wide receiver 24 currently. Well, he's in the same ballpark as Marquise Brown, Thielen, Mooney. You got McLaurin, Sutton. I'm passing on him. I don't want anything to do with him this year. Maybe next year when for sure Deshaun's probably going to play and they've maybe established a connection. Maybe they establish one this year, and he can get him via trade later on in the season. But I'm not. I'm going with a little bit more sure of a bet. Maybe a Sutton, a Scary Terry. I'd take Darnell Mooney over him right now.
Yeah, I like the upside for other people. I think the situation there is just too unknown, and he's kind of being picked towards more of the top of the round. So
I think it's going to stay there until some type of news breaks, and then he's either going to go extremely up or extremely down, because as soon as Watson gets in there, people are going to know it's going to be Watson to Cooper, just play action, whatever offense they want to go with. They're going to target for sure Amari Cooper. They don't pay him that kind of money to not do that.
Yeah.
So let's lastly dive into the Pittsburgh Steelers, who changed Heinz Field's name. How about that? I can't even pronounce what the heck the new one is. I feel like that's such a tragedy that nobody's talking about as much as it should be. That should be the biggest news in the NFL, but it's not.
I heard it today somewhere, but again, they didn't talk about it much. So
yeah, no, I don't even know how to say it. But it's the end of an era. So Heinz Field's out, and then so is Big Ben. Now we have Mitch Trubisky in there. The skill players are still the same for the most part.
They added Miles Boykin.
But you got Deontay, you got Claypool, they less Juju. Then you have Pat Freiermuth and Mitch Trubisky. Do you believe he can get this team to where it needs to be and establish a winning record? Reminder, they have not had a losing record since 2007 under Mike Tomlin. So he has established that culture, that leadership that I was talking about with the Ravens. Can his skill players establish a winning record?
I'm not a big Trubisky guy. I think Pickett eventually takes the throne, unless Trubisky just balls out. But the good thing for Trubisky is he's going into a very well cultured team, and he's got a solid run game to kind of back him with Najee Harris, and his skill guys are really good. I like Chase Claypool a lot. I like Miles Boykin a lot, as you can see.
There you go.
I was upset when the Colts didn't draft Claypool.
Oh,
but
then you got Deontay, and then and Najee Harris. So you off in their defense with T.J. Watt, and
he pretty much just can't make mistakes.
No.
If he just is a good game manager and does his part, he'll be fine. He doesn't need to be anything special, but
he needs to stay healthy. That's what he needs to. I feel like every damn play he pulls something and then goes back in hurt.
Yeah, but I was never sold on him in college. Wasn't sold on him when he was with Chicago. So And I think the fan base is wanting Pickett more, being a Pittsburgh guy. And
that was a little bit of a shocker that they went with Pickett, in my opinion.
yeah,
I still think this is Mitch's team to lose. There's been multiple reports that came out saying, we have full faith in Mitch. Their over-under is set at 7 wins. They have the 4th toughest schedule, plus 330 to make the playoffs. Over or under in that win total?
I think it's pretty right.
Pretty right?
I think 7 is probably the mark.
I think I just lean over just a little bit. Just with that skill on both ends of the ball, I think they find ways to win. It's going to be ugly. It's not going to be Big Ben dropping back 50 times and throwing the ball. It's going to be Trubisky. It's going to be Najee.
Pounding.
Yeah. So with that being said, is Deontay? I think Deontay still has some solid floor. Claypool, I think, might take the biggest hit this year.
Which sucks because I think he's an amazing talent that's just played behind really good receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So he hasn't really gotten a shot. And now that Juju's not there, this would be his year to kind of shine even more.
Yeah, no, I'll be excited to see, and I'm going to see how Mitch does throwing the football. I think that's the biggest question mark. If he can establish some type of relationship with Deontay, with Pat Freiermuth, and Claypool, and they can start getting first downs. I think the biggest difference what they'll have is, they used to drop back 3 times with Big Ben, and he got 1 yard. It would be a 3 and out, 3 possessions in a row, and their defense would be on the field for half of the half, and you're just like, or for 3/4 of the half, and they'd be dead tired till the end of the game, and they would find some way somehow to get the victory for them, while Big Ben's like, "Yep, thanks guys, that's what I needed. Thanks." Like, I think it's going to be a little bit more efficient. I'm going to be a little bit optimistic and go over 7.
I'll go 7.
Right at 7. There you go. All right. Any closing remarks on the AFC North?
I think, if you've been tuning in just to kind of look for bets, like future bets, this division was kind of tough just because DraftKings was very limited. So if you notice a change in our show a little bit today, that's why.
A lot of question marks in this division. A lot of uncertainty. A lot of maybe some higher odds than normal, higher numbers. The one that stuck out to me the most that I looked at was Mark Andrews' over receptions and over yards. Those are the 2 that I would take. But other than that, there's just a lot of question marks. You might just go on a weekly basis with this division. All right. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. That is episode 3. We went over bankroll management. We went over the AFC North. We want to hear from you guys now. Make sure you guys put who you guys are on for this division, who you think is going to win in the comments on YouTube. Also, hit that follow button on Twitter for both of us. And make sure you guys follow on Spotify and iTunes so you guys know when we go, when the next episode is published. So episode 4, we'll probably break down the AFC South and finish up the AFC. Yeah. And then we have an episode of the topic of dealing with failure in sports betting. So that's going to be an interesting one. We'll dive into that. But other than that, we're out of here. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
See ya.